7 things minimalists would never put in their living room. Ryan, I was hoping we could look at this from a stoic perspective.
Okay.
And I would like to disagree with a few of these points together. So the article goes like this. If you're trying to pare down your living room, here's where you should start. The living room is often one of the most multifunctional rooms in the house. It's where we can gather and socialize with guests. It's where we read or watch TV during a night in. It may even be the place where you work from home from time to time. Because this room serves so many purposes, it can quickly become cluttered with excess items that are left behind or stored there somewhat mindlessly. I'll start there. I agree. The living room is often the best place. Living room or bedroom are the 2 places you tend to spend the most time in. So in terms of removing superfluous items, decluttering parts of your home, don't start with the attic. You never go up there, right? Don't start with the basement. Don't start with the garage. Those things are really difficult. You want to get some momentum. Declutter the spaces that wherever you start, where are you going to spend the most time? And it's often your living room. It's called a living room for a reason. All right, it goes on to say, this cluttered and overstuffed appearance can take away from what is ultimately the main goal of a living room, which is to be a relaxing and inviting space. Have you ever seen that where you I don't know, this used to be my house where I would stack laundry on a chair that then you couldn't sit in.
Sure.
And you render a room functionless that is otherwise functional, and it's because we have so much stuff in those rooms. So it talks about the 7 things that a minimalist would never put in their living room. I don't know about that, but we'll see. Number 1 is lots of framed pictures. We never want to tell you to get rid of those framed family photos you love. But if you want a less busy-looking living room, then you may want to curate your collection. I mean, I agree with the curation here. The question is, what's the appropriate amount, right? We were talking about this earlier during the Talk Aboutable segment with Ryan, and he was basically saying, yeah, what adds value to one person may not add value to you. And I keep 1 photograph in our living room and kitchen. We swap it out every month. It's on the fridge.
Oh.
There's just 1 photograph on the fridge. Right now, it's this crazy picture of my daughter when she was like 4, and it's a screenshot of a FaceTime call I was on with her, and she's making the craziest face, and I have it printed out, but every month on the first of the month, I swap it out, and all of a sudden, it becomes a picture gallery. Because what happens if you have the same photographs there for years, it just becomes background noise. You don't pay attention to it. How do Stoics look at something like this?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm trying to think, do we have a lot of pictures hanging up in the house? I think we tend to get stuff framed, and then it's like that's a project. Got to hang that up later, and then so we got a lot of pictures leaning up against the place where they're supposed to go, or that need to be picked up from the framers. You know, so each framed picture is not just an item, but then it's an item on the to-do list.
Yeah, the true cost of a thing goes beyond the price tag.
Yeah. I remember I did a tour of the White House not that long ago, and I was surprised. There's all these pictures you go in through, and then they're pictures, but then they're swapping it out every week of like different places the president's going. This is for all presidents, so it's not a political judgment. But then you go, so wait, this is somebody's job? Like we pay someone to swap out the photos in the hall of the White House, like on a weekly. So we're paying for the photographer, and then we're paying for the replacement of the thing, and then of what value is this creating for anyone, So I don't know.
I do think about museum curation or even like art galleries. My favorite art gallery is up in Ojai, and it's called Canvas and Paper, and it's just 1 room. You walk in, there's 3 paintings, and they swap them out every 6 weeks. And so there's a period of time you get to go there, and it's not overwhelming. You go to the LACMA, and it's like 400,000 paintings, and they have rooms of paintings you'll never see, and it's just so overwhelming. And I think that's sort of the point here is like sometimes it's just overwhelming. We had an interior designer on the podcast a few years ago, and she was talking about a seasonality rule for swapping out decor seasonally every 3 months, just moving things around, taking the same decor you have in your house and not hiding it, moving it somewhere else in the house, changing the shelf, just so that it feels fresh. It doesn't feel like that background noise. Number 2 on the list was piles of mail. Quote, a minimalist living room isn't the place for piles of mail or random clutter. It's about keeping things neat and stress-free, says Jenny Deitch, Chief Executive Officer of Getting It Done Organizing. So, try to adopt the habit of putting things away right away when you enter the home, rather than leaving them on a coffee table or a living room console. Yeah, we call this the no piles rule. It just so happens that any flat surface in your home becomes a magnet for clutter. It's the first place that we put purses and bags and receipts and mail and junk mail. And one day isn't usually a problem, but then it's like 3 days of junk mail. And now I've got a pile I need to deal with this weekend.
And when you actually go through the pile, how much of it is going straight in the trash?
That's right.
And it's like, you didn't need to keep this thing in the first place.
Now, it's part of that because we build it up like, oh, I'm going to have to spend an hour going through this, but it ends up taking, 43 seconds to deal with.
I think that's it, but it's also the lacking the sort of willpower, strength, awareness to go, this isn't a thing that I need ever, right? Like we talked about this earlier, but it's like the thing came in a nice box. Now, objectively, you're going to throw the box away at some point because it's not going to serve any function. And you've been a person long enough to see this pattern, right? You can recognize the pattern. The box, no computer has ever gone back in the box. Store. And even if it is, even if something is wrong, have you ever returned something and the box was actually a necessary component? Not if you've used it, right? So I just try to remind myself, hey, if I'm going to take these shoes, which I just got, I'm not going to fool myself with this lie that they somehow possess their value longer by maintaining the box. Like the box, it all goes straight in the trash the moment I'm ripping the tags off.
Yeah. Well, and if it doesn't, then all of a sudden now you're taking up way more space.
Yes.
I often talk about minimalism as being the amplification of spaciousness. Consumerism would be the opposite of that. Like I've got a box and I've got a room full of shoe boxes and that's fine. No judgment. You can do what you want to do. But I love the thing he said here, TK. You have to recognize the pattern. Because quite often, I think the bigger problem is we don't recognize the pattern. The pile of mail builds up, or the shoe boxes or the electronics boxes builds up because we never recognize the pattern. I never use those things, but I didn't stop to recognize that my pattern is a pattern of disuse.
Yeah. By the way, I was laughing when Ryan was talking because when I was at the airport most recently, I bought a pair of earbuds for my iPhone, and it came in a box that looked so nice. It was the nicest box, man. And before I hurried up and opened it up and put in the earbuds and got ready to throw the box out, and it felt so smooth in my hand. I was like, well, should I hold on to this for something? And then I just heard Dave Ramsey's voice, "Don't be stupid." And I just threw it in the garbage. But it was such a nice box. It was tempting. And so even though we have these patterns and we've been a person long enough to recognize these things, we can be susceptible in the moment to how good it feels in the hand and how it looks to the eyes.
Ryan, you were in marketing, so I think that's part of it too. That I don't think that's necessarily an intended consequence of Apple to make you hoard your boxes, but they want you to feel special when you're opening it.
Yeah. That's how they get you to justify the what you paid for. Because if it came in a garbage bag, you'd associate it something differently, right? And so they're trying to create the perception of value. And also the box is a billboard, right? And so the longer it sits in your house, the longer the branding is there. And you just got to go, hey, this feels nice, but it is worthless. This is worthless. Recycle it and move on.
Yeah. Number 3, extra unnecessary furniture. As much as you might like that cute side table or decorative stool, think twice before you add extra furniture to your living room that doesn't serve a clear purpose. I find this is especially true. Back in my corporate days, I had a McMansion, out in the suburbs of Dayton, Ohio. And when you have a house that is 3,000 or 4,000 square feet, you feel compelled to fill every corner because I am empty if the place is empty. But then we treat that emptiness, we pathologize emptiness as though it's a bad thing. No one goes out to Yellowstone. They're like, this place is so freaking empty.
Fill it up.
Let's fill it up with apple boxes. It's like, no, it's like, there isn't a void here. That emptiness is actually a feature. It is not a bug.
Totally.
Yeah. Number 4 is visible cables and wires. Visible cables and wires can quickly make a room look more cluttered and chaotic. Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty clear. My favorite is Kristen Ziegler. She's been on the show a couple times, and she'll be back in, I think, January, February. And she organizes her cable so beautifully. But like it's like this sense of calm. It's one of those areas really quickly can feel cluttered. I mean, you see a bunch of cables and cords and all this stuff that's just like, yes, they're functional. They do have a function, but they feel they feel off.
And it's like, how many USB-C chargers do you need? The benefit of the universal charger is that you shouldn't need a charger for everything.
Yeah.
But you're like, well, it came with a charger, so that goes in the drawer with the chargers. And then you open it and you got 52 USB-C chargers, and you need one.
Right.
Or two.
Right. And then we hold on to cables to things we don't even know what they went to. Maybe it was an old printer, or we did that video a few weeks ago. It was like an old security system. I might as well hold on to this just in case I mean, the security company didn't want the wires back, but I should still hold on to it.
Yes.
Number 5 is small decor and tchotchkes. As a rule, minimalists tend to avoid things that are going to create a lot of visual noise in a space, says David Hurlis, Director of Operations at the storage service Store It. Hey, wait a minute. Yeah, I often see this. We get storage companies that reach out to us all the time to do like a collaboration. And I'm like, you guys don't ever listen to the podcast, do you?
He's not saying to get rid of it. He's saying to box it up and put it in storage.
Yeah, get it out of your house and give us money to hold on to it for you. I'm not completely against storage lockers either. We had one until recently we bought a whole pallet of books from our publisher, and it was like, I need a place while we were going on tour to keep these books. Sure. Let's keep them in a storage locker. But it had an end date. And that was important for me. But
that's smart.
The tchotchkes thing, like, yeah, I don't want just random tchotchkes, but I do like beautiful objects too. I think they enhance a space. The question is, like, how much is too much? And I think that's so highly perspectival. What is clutter to me might be just enough to Ryan Holiday, or what is too much for him might not be enough for me in a particular area. Number 6 is an excess of blankets and pillows. Yeah, throw pillows, blankets, all that stuff. I think some of these are like wish items. We buy things like, oh yeah, I'm going to be the type of person who has a throw pillow that I'm going to, but then we don't use them. They tend to be decorative. I'm not against decorations, but sometimes it becomes that pattern. And then I get stuck in the pattern. I'm supposed to have these things. And it goes back to filling the space. Yes, if you have enough money, you'll fill every square inch of that house. Does it make it more complete? Does it complete you? No, I mean, if anything, the things incomplete you in a way, especially when they start to get in the way.
And it goes back to that concept of what did you hire it for? If you hired the pillows in order to make yourself and your place feel more cozy, great. Is it delivering on that? Actually, it produces tension.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, Ryan, if you were to hire someone or hire a material possession because it's on sale, I always say it's 100% off if you leave it on the shelf,
sure.
Right? But if you buy something just because it's on sale, you fell victim to the impulse. Imagine hiring a person because they were on sale.
Yeah.
How good would you feel about that? In fact, you'd kind of feel the opposite, right?
Sure. Yeah. Or maybe you needed it for a time and you don't need it anymore, but because you've gotten something better, right? Or different. And then now I can move on.
Yeah.
This one's looking old. It's falling apart. You need one throw blanket. You don't need two.
Yeah.
And then somebody left one at your, you can pare down.
I remember when I was going down to deal with all my mom's stuff, and I went to her linen closet. It was just her living by herself with her little, like 3-pound Yorkshire Terrier dog. And she had this linen closet that looked like she was running a hotel out of it.
Right.
And it was like mismatched blankets and towels and bath sheets and bed sheets and comforters and duvet covers and pillows. And it was all of these things that she hadn't used in years, but she was just holding on to them, not recognizing the pattern, not recognizing that it's finally okay to let this go. Finally, number 7, items that don't get used in the living room. That sounds like a tautology almost. Like, of course, I don't want things in the living room that I wouldn't use but that happens because these spaces are so frequently used. It becomes a catch-all for things. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just keep it here. I'm always in this room, so I will keep it here. It could be a phone book, for example. Who holds on to phone books anymore? I don't know, but I see them delivered all the time, right? I'll just keep that in the living room. Well, why? Oh, I didn't stop to think about why.
Where somebody gave it to me, right? It was a gift.
Yes.
And then you go, oh, we'll put this in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
And, you don't have to.
Yeah, I think that is the key to all of this. You know you don't have to. You know you can.
Yeah.
It's not that you should, but you could hold on to it. But you could also let it go. TK, you got anything to add here for 7 things minimalists would never put in their living room?
I think about this in a way that's analogous to the whole conversation about working for free. Should you work for free? There's a case that could be made that this opens the doors for opportunity. Another case that could be made that it's a form of exploitation. And so the advice I always give people on this is, if you have a better alternative, choose it. If you don't have to work for free and it makes you feel exploited, don't work for free. Go get paid what you think you're worth. On the other hand, if you don't have a better alternative and working for free is the best that you can do that, get some valuable experience, and leverage that for things that will get you paid. In a similar way, when we talk about minimalism and clutter, there's always that conversation about, yeah, but what about the person that can't afford to replace something if they regret letting it go? And I say, look, if keeping all those pillows or all of those picture frames is truly the thing that can break you if you have to replace them and you can afford to keep them and it's not destroying your life in some other way, keep them. There's no rule that says you got to get rid of them in the name of minimalism. On the other hand, if you bought these items and having them in your home is making you feel tension, not the host of a show, of a podcast, but it's making you feel tension. It's making you feel annoyed. It's making you feel distracted. It's taking you away from the life that you want to be, that you want to have. Then the question you got to ask yourself is, man, when does it become worth it to be free? Let that stuff go and take on the risk of having to replace it at some point in the future if, underline that word, if you decide to regret it. But it's not a law. It's about discerning your situation and doing what's best for you.
Ryan, do you have any final Stoic insights about, maybe a favorite Stoic insight about material possessions?
There's a beautiful passage in Meditations. It's a haunting one. Maybe it's a good place to end. He goes, Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died. Same thing happened to both, and then they were both buried in the same ground. That it all evens out in the end. You don't get to take all the possessions with you. You don't even take the fame with you. And it doesn't mean anything that in that little expression, we know the name of one of those people and we don't know the name of the other because they're both dead. Yeah. And it's of no value to either of them. Posthumous fame, legacy. Oh, they're going to put it in and collect all my papers. So then it goes into a museum for like future scholars or, whatever it is that you're thinking. Like, that might be beneficial to other people, but you're not going to get anything out of it. So how do you sort of think about the here and now is what the idea of memento mori for the Stoics is to give you that. It's not to be morbid, it's just to focus you on the here and now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Holiday.
Oh, thanks.
I hope you enjoyed that highlight from the Minimalist Private Podcast. If you'd like another highlight, check out this video. If you'd like to watch the minimal episode, check out this video. Or if you'd like to dive deep into full episodes of the Minimalist Private Podcast, head on over to Patreon. The link is in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.